Now to the push to improve America's drinking water. The roughly $1 trillion bipartisan infrastructure bill passed by the Senate and still under consideration by the House would provide $15 billion to replace lead pipes all across the country. Newark, New Jersey has already invested significant amounts of money in replaced pipes. But beyond money, in communities like Newark, it's about convincing residents that the water is safe again. Phil Lipof reports.
Newark, New Jersey's largest city, a cultural and shipping hub, and a gateway to the world, just miles away from New York City, but in many ways, a world away. 5 years after a water crisis, and despite the city's best efforts, some residents still don't trust their tap water.
Okay, I am pouring bottled water into the pots for dinner tonight.
Back in 2016, high levels of lead were detected in the water of 30 public schools.
My first thing was Flint, Michigan. That's the first thing I thought about was, okay, here we go again.
By 2018, Newark had one of the highest amounts of lead in any major U.S. city. City leaders providing water filters and water bottles to more than 40,000 households. The scenes reminiscent of the Flint, Michigan water crisis.
We are in panic mode in this city because the feds had to come in to tell us to stop drinking the water.
Fast forward 2.5 years, Newark has all but overcome its lead crisis. Since spring of 2019, the city has replaced more than 22,000 lead service lines, one of the main reasons for high lead levels in homes. We were there as construction crews dug up centuries-old lead. What's really impressive about what they've done here in Newark specifically is they're doing about 1,000 lead lines a month. Take a look. 22,000 of those lines in just over 2 years. And the minute they get that line out, they're ready to go. They've got the copper line here waiting to go in. Newark was able to quickly replace the lead lines in part because of a $120 million loan coupled with a city ordinance.
We didn't need the owner's permission. We only need a resident, a tenant, anybody to give us access to come in and replace the line.
And that was huge.
That was huge. It was a game changer. We've actually replaced every known lead service line on record.
Still, Newark is now facing a challenge that money can't solve, convincing residents affected by this crisis that the water is now safe.
The water is just, a clear example of how things are able to, be neglected. Many people already knew that a lot of our water was bad anyway, so I always grew up not even drinking from water fountains when I went to school and stuff like that. So it's like that distrust, it's deep.
Shakima Thomas's 7-year-old son, Bryce, tested positive for lead in 2018, even though the pipes in her home are made of copper.
We haven't got another test since that first test because it was such a traumatizing experience for him. Not gonna make him get another needle. He doesn't want to do it. He was screaming through the whole process.
In March of this year, Shakima paid a private lab to test the lead in her water. The results were stunning. The lead from her kitchen sink was 130 parts per billion. Shakima also got a water test from Newark in April, but the city lost those results. The EPA states that water systems have to take action if more than 10% of taps exceed the lead action level of 15 parts per billion. The agency also says there is no safe limit for lead in drinking water, and that in children, low levels of lead exposure have been linked to various conditions, including learning disabilities and impaired hearing. The city of Newark tells ABC News that there are resources available to help children who have been affected by lead. But Shakima says those services were denied to Bryce.
I took that as, yeah, he has lead in his system, but he's not poisoned enough for us to help. That's how I took it. I felt bad, felt terrible, I think any parent would feel that way. We're supposed to protect our kids, and that's a situation that was completely out of my control. I can't believe they did that to our kids.
Shakima now spends between $60 and $80 a month on bottled water. She drinks with it, cooks with it, and because of that, she thinks her son is doing well. A little more than 27% of Newark's population lives in poverty. That's more than double the national average of 10.5%. And according to the National Institute of Health, low-income populations are disproportionately affected by lead exposure. 4-year-old Nyla tested positive for lead just a few weeks ago.
I received a phone call from the doctor's office stating that my daughter's lead levels was high. Her levels was between like a 9 and a 10. She said her levels is supposed to be maybe around 1 or 2-ish, but it's not. It's hard for her at times to sit down. She acts out at times. She can't stay focused.
Crystal had an inspector come to her home to test the paint, another potential source of lead, but she says no one came to test the water.
I want to know what's causing my baby, to have lead and her levels to be really high.
Now she comes to the Newark Water Coalition distribution site twice a week and fills jugs like these so she can have drinking water at home. And she's not alone.
Thank you, Kevin.
You're welcome.
The Newark Water Coalition says there has not been a drop in demand for people coming to get the water, despite the city replacing nearly all lead service lines. Because for some here, the issue is more than just water, it's about trust.
For Shakima, what would you say to her, and will you be able to get someone to her house to test?
Yes, we'll be able to get someone to our house to test the water. We're testing thousands of water samples, and one may get lost or mixed up, but we're here to help.
Don't get frustrated, just call back up.
Don't get frustrated, work with us, we'll get it done.
But for Shakima Thomas, relying on the city isn't easy. She says after a number of unsuccessful attempts to have city officials test her water, she's all but given up.
I don't think I can trust my elected officials because they've shown that they're unreliable, consistently. The only thing I can do is buy bottled water and, bank on the fact that that's safe. But I'd rather drink that than knowing I'm drinking lead.
Phil Lipof, ABC News, Newark, New Jersey.
Hi, everyone. George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel. And don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.